Salut de Saint-Barth, alligators! Oui, je suis en Saint-Barthélemy. Still, I am still in St. Barth. I know this is like the endless vacation. I'm so sorry. Not sorry enough to go home and stop, but just, you know, regular sorry. But look, our schedule here has slowed down a little bit, and you know, after a while, like you're traveling, you just kind of want to do like comfort things. You want like comfort food. What is your go-to comfort food? I realize when I'm traveling, mine is like a curry. It's a Thai food. And all of us like had the same hive mind idea. We're like, we literally just need a curry. And so we like had great Thai food and just cozied up and binged what today's topic is about. Love is blind. I could do 5 videos on this. I mean, I will do a million videos on this show because there's so much to learn. I want to do a video on how to change your self-perception, because one thing that stood out to me is so many people came on that show, number one, after losing a lot of weight, or like they see themselves as physically unlovable and they're like, okay, hopefully if someone can connect to my personality, they're gonna love me. And it's kind of sad that like that didn't work for some people. You're like, oh, maybe it's not your body. Maybe it is your personality, you know? Like we all know people like that. They're like, if I could lose 10 pounds, people would like me. It's like, no, it's not the outside, it's the inside. I also want to do a video on appearances. How much does physical attraction really matter in a relationship, and what to do if it's not there? Can you create chemistry? So we're going to be doing those topics, and I'm probably going to like combine those in when the reunion special airs on March 4th. I can't wait. I've been looking for spoilers like everywhere online, and true, I'm not good at looking for things like this. I should be given what my job is, but I'm not. So if you guys have spoilers, please list them below. This episode of our show here is going to be full of spoilers. So if you haven't binged Love is Blind yet, definitely do it. Like, I'm always so resistant to like watching things that are popular. Are you guys like that? I'm just like, no, I don't want to. No. It's like, what? First of all, it's my job. Second of all, of course I'm gonna like it if everyone else likes it. Like, I'm so unique. Give me a break. Although I didn't like Breaking Bad and I didn't like Game of Thrones. Yeah, I'm just kind of a contrarian. Okay, what we're gonna do today is go through these couples one by one. I'm gonna give you my honest thoughts. Basically, I'm gonna shred them. And we're gonna talk about narcissists, because there's one person on this show, one person above all the others who stood out to me as the most toxic narcissist, and it's not the person you think. Is it Shaina, who sucks? Is it Shake, who sucks a lot? Is it Shayne, who is almost unwatchably sucky? Well, all these people are narcissists? No. The one who stood out to me more than anyone else was Danielle. She is truly one of the most manipulative and toxic people I've witnessed in a long time. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you how we can look out for this special type of narcissist that we might not, number one, even think exists. And certainly we might not see coming. Because when we think about a narcissist, we think about like the preening playboy. Like we look at Shayne, it's like, okay, obviously you're a narcissist. You're just like this horrible peacock who needs to be told constantly that you're so pretty. Do you think I'm pretty? With his like rolling eyes, and he looks like Gary Busey. Is this man not Gary Busey? With his eyes and the teeth? Do you think I'm pretty? Do you think I'm pretty? No, I think you're frightening. Get the fuck away from me. You look like a rabid possum. Like, I'm gonna put you outside where I can't, please get away from me. Like, true, Natalie doesn't seem the easiest because she's so sarcastic. I mean, I like that kind of stuff, but to be around someone who needs to be told that they're pretty every 15 seconds also isn't very, I mean, that's pretty exhausting. So I can see why those two maybe were a good fit at the beginning, but how they became not a good fit. We're going to get into all of this. But before we do, I want to remind you guys that if you're looking to help Ukraine, we have a bunch of charities listed below. We have Bethany Frankel's charity. She is literally on the ground out there setting up refugee camps in Romania and Poland, ready to welcome people fleeing the Ukraine conflict. Also, there's some for animals, to help animals, because this is like, you know how much we love animals around here. And so many people had to flee and they couldn't take their animal. And I mean, I couldn't imagine. I would not leave Cowboy. I wouldn't. I couldn't. Like, he's my child. Like, I didn't give birth to him and he's technically a different species, but that is my son. And I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine it. So many people didn't really have that option. And so there are charities that are giving supplies to people who were lucky enough to be able to flee with their animals and setting them up in refugee camps that house both pets and people, which a lot of them don't, you know? And then there's some charities down there that are serving the shelters, like dog shelters and everything in Ukraine that are kind of riding this out. So they need food, they need water, they need all sorts of stuff. Also, I'm going to put a link to a Google document down here that one of you Ukrainian shalligators sent me. It's in Ukrainian, I can't read it, but it's links and information on like coupons, places to shelter, refugee houses, free things. Again, I don't know what's in it because I can't read it, but if you are Ukrainian or you know other people, go ahead and click that and feel free to pass it around because it's super helpful. I assume, again, I can't read it. Because look, you know what? We're bad bitches and we can make a dent. Like, no, we can't stop Putin today with our bare hands, but we can provide as much support and infrastructure to people who are down there fighting. Okay, you ready to shred these people? Excellent, me too. So let's start with Shayne. Like, people who can see all the whites of their eyes, don't even talk to me. Don't come up to me at Target asking where the canned tuna is. Don't talk to me at all. I don't want to be near you. There's something weird. And people are like, maybe he has ADHD. Okay, like, so he's awful just besides this. And it's crazy to me that 2 girls wanted this dude because voice alone, he was so annoying and so, he was like a 10-year-old in a 30-year-old's body. Like, ugh. And like, what are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? I am shocked he picked Natalie because she seems like a very normal, head on her shoulders kind of girl. The posture though, Natalie, you're such a cute chick. You got a great banging bod. This cartoon turtle posture. Natalie, if you stand up straight, it's your fucking wedding day. On your fucking wedding day, you're slithering around. Girl, I understand you don't want to be there and body language doesn't lie, but even when you were happy, you were just like curled into this like hermit crab shell. It was making me insane to watch. So one thing Shayne was doing that made me crazy is he was monologuing on and on and on, and the talking and the talking and the talking. And it made me think, you know, we encounter Shaynes all the time. Maybe it's just the thing with boys named Shayne. If you're watching this, babe. And because we're physically attracted to someone and we're like, like when we are in a state of lust, literally the part of our brain that's in charge of decision making shuts off. Like the logic part of our brain is like, oh, the vagina has activated. We got some errands to run. Goodbye. And it shuts off. And so you think that in these pods, you're so much more likely to make a good decision because you're not bamboozled by this chemistry, right? And for some people that's true. But with Shayne, it's like people still couldn't see his bullshit. And I bring this up because if you're on a date with someone and you couldn't see them and you just shut your eyes and you were just logging the conversation, how much is someone talking? I cannot stand monologuers. I truly think they're like a secret plague in society. They're like emotional terrorists. They're social terrorists, right? They're social hijackers. I was on a date at St. Bart's and we were like having pizza. I know. There's no point in talking about it, but we were like having pizza and this guy comes up and like the pizza place is just closed and we're like, oh my gosh, we've got like 2 pizzas. Come and have some. Like, come sit down, whatever. And we were chit-chatting and my date made the mistake of being like, so like, what brought you to St. Bart's? Do you live here? Like, that's crazy. 45 minutes later, this dude did not come up for air. Not at all. I mean, it started with his childhood. It's like, that should be a 3-sentence answer, right? Oh, I bought property here in the 80s before it was anything and I was able to work. So on and on and on. And I like, these people fascinate me because it's like, do you think this is normal to talk this much? Do you see anyone else talking for 45 fucking minutes? What do I do for a living? I talk for 45 fucking minutes. I monologue, but I'm not in a interpersonal conversational setting. I am not like this. Like when I'm just around people, I'm not like, and another thing, let me get my notes. Like, I like this. But this is like my job. Like, I'm supposed to monologue here. But people in social settings, it's like, this is not okay. And in these pods, when people were doing that, it's like, you really don't see. Now, this is your shot to see how toxic this behavior is. Nope. Okay. Never mind. But if there was one person worse than Shayne, it was Shaina. Oh, that bitch. Just racking up the sun damage and her like, her like toothy, pouty. She was so horrible. So horrible. One thing I noticed particularly that was horrible about her is like she was asking these questions that were useless bullshit questions, right? You're in there and you have this opportunity to ask questions of people and like really get some answers. But the questions she was asking, I wrote them down. Do you like to make out? First of all, everyone likes to make out. Well, except for that chick, Ayana. My first note about her, I literally wrote down lesbian. Like, she's so cute, but, and then as like we go on, we hear more about her story. It's like, okay, I see why she's like maybe very afraid of her sexuality. Like, I get that. And I felt so badly for her that Jarrett chose Mallory, like inexplicably. What was everyone's fucking boner for Mallory? She was just kind of there. Like, she was just this like blank slate, but that is one part of the art of seduction. We can talk about that later. But I felt so bad for Ayana that she was second choice because her whole life she's probably felt like leftovers and abandoned and not really relevant, not really seen. But I love them together. I hope that they're still together. I would have chose Jarrett. Like if I was in the pods, I mean, that voice alone, chocolatey. But he just seems like self-aware but fun and light. And I love them together. Anyway. So Shania, sorry, I keep wanting to call her Shania because that's how her name looks for me. Shaina. She would say something like, are you an old soul? First of all, who in the fuck says, no, I'm like super immature and shallow. I just got here onto this planet. Everyone's like, oh yeah. Yeah, me? Oh, deep as the river runs. That's me. Second, she only asked that so she could be like, oh, me, I'm an old soul. Bitch, what have you learned in your past life? I'm real curious. I'm real curious what hurdles, what like enlightenment hurdles you conquered in your past lives. Who are you, Gaius Julius Caesar? Give me a fucking break, dude. So like, I'm an old soul. Third, she never shut up. She never shut up. And the reason we're so fascinated by her, she's every girl at brunch. Wait, do you like bottomless brunches? I like bottomless brunches. I like bottomless brunches. She's like this endless preening turkey chicken, just that is She only asked questions so that she could talk about herself. She's not actually asking about the other person, right? That's it. She doesn't care. She's also a fucking snake, like calling up Natalie. I have a guy for you if you and Shayne don't work out. Blah, 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 blah. Snake. But the lesson I got from whatever her name is, Shaina, if you really have the hots for someone, don't date someone else. Have we not all done this? Now we're going to do a video on the ick, like a proper video. And we've done a few videos on the ick, but God knows we can keep bringing it up. The ick is that feeling of, ugh, don't touch me. And she certainly had the ick for her fiance, Kyle. True, he looked like a bat. He looks like a bat, yeah, but a cute one, you know, and he seemed nice. He has a very nice voice. He just seemed like young, and you know what? He was fine. She wasn't into him. Why? Because she was still into Shayne. And we have all done what she did. We're in love with someone, or we're not over it, or there's a thing. There's this monster under the bed type feeling. And we're like, okay, I just need to go out, meet someone new, divert and distract. Okay. And you know what? That's true, because we need context. Context, yes. And contrast. We need to meet more people and be like, oh, well, I thought that this guy was like so funny, and turns out a lot of guys are funny, only they don't have these like sanpaku eyes like Shayne does. They're normal and they blink every once in a while. That's crazy. And I don't see all of their teeth all the time, even when they're chewing. That's good. What's not good is to not feel your feelings and to tell yourself that you're in a place to date and meet and give your heart to someone when you're not. Because that's what Shaina did. And do you know what that leads to? The ick. The ick. The ick is the physical manifestation of cognitive dissonance, basically, where you look at this person, you're like, I know that I should love them. I know that I should be into them. They're fine. The ick is not an ugly person's problem. Like, you don't get ick for the uglies. You can get ick. I have gotten the ick for gorgeous. One was literally an Abercrombie model. And I'm like, don't fucking touch me, because I was in love with someone else. I had the ick for someone I dated recently because I was in love with my ex-boyfriend. And I was trying to force myself to be over it. And all I did was get so resentful, so resentful, so resentful, and hone in on these little problems. And for Shaina, that was, you're not a Christian, you're an atheist. Did her and Shayne ever talk about religion? I never heard that come up. Like, I never heard him bring it up to Natalie. Like, if he's just this godly dude, we never saw that. So, I mean, maybe they did, but you would think if that really was like her big thing, it would be the number one thing she would bring up, not do you like to fuck and do you like to make out and how far down my throat can I get your cock? Whatever she was talking about. It was just like, oh, okay. Now suddenly you're just like all about Jesus. Maybe she is, right? We can't judge people's faith based on their personality, except for the fact that we can, right? And I felt so bad for her fiance, Kyle, because he was like, he was constantly trying to shift and maneuver and compromise to meet her needs, but her needs kept changing because they weren't actually rooted in actual needs. They were rooted in her being in love with someone else. I also think I need to do a video on how to tell when someone isn't attracted to you. Ugh. Isn't it awful when you stop and consider people who have had the ick for you? Okay. Let's talk about Natalie for a minute. Again, smart chick. I feel like her dating Shayne was it was almost like she was emotionally studying abroad. I feel like she was always like the good Asian daughter, the smart one, the financially conservative one. Like she was just checking all the boxes, doing everything right. I know what that's like. I was that. Like so many of my friends are like that, Asian or not. We know what that's like to be in that like role. It's like, no, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to. And I feel like this was her being like, fuck it. I'm gonna try something completely different. I'm gonna step outside myself and see how it goes. And what I loved about her is she left on red flag number one. Now look, I'm sure there was a lot of red flags we saw with those two, but she had a boundary. The night before her wedding, her dipshit fiance calls her. You know why he was so mad? Because he couldn't hit that baseball. Do you know that? Like, I guarantee that that's what it was. He was so pissed he couldn't hit that baseball at the bachelor party. I really hope you guys have seen this. If not, you're like, she sounds like she's having a fever dream. What is she talking about? I'm not going to waste time explaining all the context. Like, if you haven't watched it, it's not going to make any sense anyway. And if you have, you don't need the primer. But he was like not okay with losing. And did you hear someone was like, didn't you play in college? Even like, yeah, like the dudes in tight pants, like Sal, like was literally hitting it out of the park. And Shayne couldn't handle losing. So he went home because his ego was in a low place and he needed to puff himself up. It's called leveling psychologically. And he scratched at her to feel like a man and tried to cut her down so he would feel better about himself. And apparently through the course of this argument that we didn't see on camera, he said he hated her and she's the worst thing that ever happened to him. Now look, I am old enough to know that a drunk tongue speaks a sober mind. We don't say things drunk that we haven't even thought when we're sober. We just don't. We don't do things drunk that we don't kind of secretly want to do when we're sober, or eat or fuck or whatever. We don't. He had that in his mind at some point, and she knew that. She was astute enough to be like, you don't just come up with that out of nowhere. Like that has been rattling around your conscious or unconscious for a while. I'm not going to marry someone who thinks it's okay to say, I hate you, and on some level means it. Why would he hate her? She's everything that he's not, right? And vice versa. She said that. I love him because he's everything that I'm not. Now this brings us to the point of, do opposites really attract? No, honestly, no, they don't. Psychologically, they don't. We've done videos on it. There's 4 pillars of compatibility. And no, when we say opposites, it's like, you like sushi? I've never tried it. It's not like you're a real estate agent and yet you don't believe in buying a house, or you don't own a house, or you spend all your money on like pop rocks and gum and food and slingshots and super bouncy balls, whatever the fuck he was saying. And she's like, uh-huh. He's a man child. That actually isn't that cool. When you work your whole life to buy a house and invest your money in 401ks, and you have this dipshit come along who's like, I don't know, I just really like to buy like Laserdisc CD, and he's just an idiot. And certainly If he's saying, I hate you for who you are, all these things that you've worked to become, all of this, emotional work and financial, I hate you. I bet he does. Because she's a great reflection of who he is never going to be. Maybe he will one day, but he's not there now, and she is. Shayne is on his way down. Like, he's like hefty. Like, he's got 2 years in him. Fat city, babe. Natalie, she's just going to keep on going up because she's become so self-aware after this process. I don't know that Shayne has. I don't know. Are men ever? Are men ever self-aware? I'm not sure. We're going to skip over Mallory and Salvador because, quite frankly, I don't care. Let's talk about Shake and Deep. Actually, you know what? I want to save that for the ick video because that's really what it's all about. And it's funny, when I was first making notes, I wrote down, I even put on Instagram, my first thoughts of Shake, piece of shit. And then he like went through this kind of emotional revolution. Oh, and I hear myself say this and it's crazy. And I'm like, oh, what a nice guy. Nope, back to piece of shit at the end. After Deep's left him at the altar and he's like, it's fine. It's fine. It's a party. I've got reservations at Nobu on a Sunday. Do you think that's a flex? It's a Sunday and it's not, you don't deserve a woman. He doesn't. Like, she said it right. You don't deserve me. And she's completely right. I want to talk about Danielle and Nick. When I said that she's a narcissist, she made me absolutely insane. First of all, she cried constantly. If I had to hear one more goddamn time about how fat she thought, she had one of the best bodies on there. Like, she thinks she's so fat, but yet she's always wearing crop tops. You don't think you're fat if you're wearing crop tops. I don't wear crop tops. Like, so you're confident enough in your body to show it off, which you should be because you have a great body. She's gorgeous. Like, she's gorgeous. Those eyes and that hair. All she talked about was her insecurities. She led with it. It was the card she always played. Well, Shallon, you can't be a narcissist if you're like, I'm so insecure. Oh, yes, you can. Like I said, when we think about a narcissist, we think about the guys like Shayne. We think about Shaina, just like, I'm so fabulous. And do you like to make out? I'm an old soul. I'm an old soul who makes out. I'm an old soul that fucks all the time, right? We think like, ugh. We assume we're going to see these people coming. A covert narcissist? You don't. We've talked before about like the good guy fuckboy. Like what's a fuckboy look like? We think we know. Then you have a good guy come along who's a fuckboy and you're like, wait, what? Same with the covert narcissist. I've talked about this before. Years ago, I was watching a Dateline and the detective said something about a suspect. He's like, if you're suicidal, you're homicidal. And it just stuck with me. Now, if that's like literally true, I don't know. But I thought, what an incredible metaphor for our emotions, right? If you're suicidal, you're homicidal. It's a fucking metaphor, okay? People always like, well, I don't know. My friend killed himself. They weren't homicidal. Do you know what a metaphor is? If you don't, this might not be the channel for you. I don't know. But I love it because when we are sick, like with the flu or something, when we're depressed, when we're brokenhearted, we're so incredibly selfish. We are our worst selves. We're homicidal emotionally, and that we don't care who we're hurting. We don't care who we're inconveniencing. I hear all the time from you guys who it's like, I was like really depressed 2 years ago and I alienated all my friends and now no one's talking to me. It's like, yeah, because you were a bad friend then. I mean, you get why, but you were a bad friend. Like when I was clinically depressed, when I was cutting myself and I was bulimic, did it ever occur to me to be like, hey, what does Sarah need? What does Marcia need? What does Holly need? No, it was, why aren't they giving more attention to me? Why isn't anyone looking at my pain? I was suicidal and homicidal, so to speak. And when we learn about narcissists, and this is frustrating, but it's true. What is a narcissist? We think, oh, well, someone who just thinks really highly of themselves. No, it's not. It's someone who has very low self-esteem. Now, look, I always hesitate to say this because I don't want to activate that girl gene in all of us where it's like, oh, well, I just need to love them through this. No. Are you a rehab for broken men? Is that what it says on your back? Is that what your tramp stamp is? No, you're not. Who's been the rehab for you? That's right, nobody. So you're not a rehab for anyone else. All right. Narcissists have low self-esteem. And so they idealize their partner. They have to, this perfect partner, they project all their hopes and dreams on there. And when that partner has a very human day, emotion, response, something, the narcissist who's been feeding off the perfection of this perfect, exalted partner loses it. Wait a minute. If you're not perfect, how can you make me perfect? I need you to be perfect because I need to siphon off your perfection to heal my flaccid ego and emptiness inside. No. I'm not going to just take a step back and go to therapy and truly heal myself in that way. No, I'm just going to like vampire it off of you. And if you disappoint me, if you have a bad day or needs of your own, fuck you. I'm going to do everything I can to cut you down. I'm going to gaslight you. I'm going to devalue you. I'm going to ice you out, ghost you, come back this hot and cold. And you are going to twist yourself into a knot wondering what the fuck you did wrong. And all of your worst fears about love and acceptance, that no one's going to love me if I have a bad day, they're not going to love me if I'm not perfect, I'm going to let you know that you're right. I'm going to let you know that all those fears are exactly right. I'm not going to love you if you're not perfect. You need to be perfect. How dare you disappoint me? Isn't that Danielle? Shallon. No. Yes. Let's break it down. All that chick could talk about is her insecurities. I'm very insecure with her like teeth and her like dude talk. I'm very insecure. We know. And you know, like my flaws, we know, Danielle. And all this is bringing my flaws to the surface. Bringing as though they're not there already, as though this isn't what you lead with 24/7. It's all you can talk about. Any positive moment, any happiness, any independence from Nick, you grab him by the emotional throat, draw him back to you by playing this card. Case in point, this is when it all clicked for me. When they were in Mexico, after they all met, and they had a wonderful day, the sex, and he's so happy, blah, blah, blah. He goes to the contractually obligated welcome dinner, meeting everyone else. She's hungover or had food poisoning or whatever. I don't believe that that's what she had. I would not be surprised if she's bulimic. Like, honestly, because, or whatever she is, I think she was lying about how sick she was. I do. Because it was a card to play. What do manipulative people want? Pity. You're real malleable when someone pities you. Oh, you don't have to do it. No, it's okay. I feel sorry for you, right? She's not a dummy. He goes to this mixer. She sits out like a fucking spider watching him. Well, I saw you walk away with someone. I saw you walk away with that girl. Which girl? Like, she couldn't even name her. He's like, who? Like a producer? Like a cameraman? Like he had to get his mic fixed? Like, what is she talking about? She's like, I don't trust anything. I don't trust anything right now. First of all, when she was like sick laying in the bathroom, I have gotten food poisoning in every country you can imagine. I'm super susceptible. I always have it. That's not how I was talking and acting. I'm sorry, but like, I don't believe she was sick at all. I don't. And she was using that again as a card. He comes back. Suddenly she's fine. She's fine, pacing around, sitting out there. When you're really having food poisoning, you're like, I don't care if the world is collapsing. Please just don't talk to me. The last thing I'm going to do is pick a fight and have some sort of logical argument. Like my body is trying to turn itself inside out. This is a nightmare. No, she was perfectly lucid. Plenty of strength to fight. That's interesting. He comes back. She's like, I don't trust anything. I don't trust you, blah, blah, blah. Any kind of happiness he had, any kind of tender moment, she was there to crush it. There was some fight that they got into that we didn't see on camera, but it was the day that he met her parents. And it sounded like something was going on with his friends or his people. And he was like getting text. There was like something he had to deal with. And she couldn't handle it. He's like, I've apologized. I'm sorry. And he said, he's like, I have things that exist that happen outside of you. The world does not revolve around you. And she, the narcissist, suicidal, homicidal, couldn't take it. She gaslit him. She cut him down. She engaged as many fallacies, argumentative fallacies, as she possibly could. Oh, so you don't want to get married? So you don't want to get married to me? Blah, blah. The most annoying people have the most annoying teeth. I'm a teeth-based person. Anyway. Like, she couldn't listen to his concerns without taking it to level 10,000, be like, oh, well, fine. I just don't trust you. Like, she couldn't just back off and be like, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm just stressed. She couldn't let it go. And for the rest of the time in the season, anything they did was a fight. And it was a fight because she was constantly playing this card of, well, I'm so insecure, I'm so insecure, I'm so insecure. Do you have any idea how exhausting it is to be around someone like that? Now look, we think, okay, so I find a guy who loves me, I'm just never supposed to be insecure. No, there's a lot of gray area between I'm this exemplar of American fortitude. I never have an emotionally tough day. I'm always confident. And I'm a Danielle who's a weepy fucking mess all the time. There's a lot. We should be somewhere in the middle. I have my good days. I have my bad days. That's okay. I'm a human being. She only had bad days. It was inconceivable for her to be strong for him. Inconceivable. The only thing that matters was what she needed. Have we not all encountered people like this? A lot of times it comes in the form of a friend who uses, who drains, who takes. Or we see it in a partner. And you know what, girls? A lot of times we've been this partner. I get messages from you guys. Like I said, I've been depressed. I was depressed and I alienated all my friends. I have messages from you guys in the middle of it. I'm going through a lot and my friends just aren't there for me. And I always say the same thing. Are you there for them? When was the last time you pulled up to your friend and was like, open mic, tell me what's up? What are you going through? Tell me, I'm here to listen. I love you. Or are you just using your friends? Are you viewing them as these resources to mine and mine and mine until there's nothing left? And then it's their fault when they're like, you're not there for me. I'm not just this free therapist. Constant output, constant output. We give what we get. I don't think Danielle and Nick should have gotten married. And even my mom, we were like texting about it. She's like, I watched Nick go from like so bubbly and happy and light to just like, he's just this dark cloud. I'm like, yeah, he's collapsing under the weight of this emotional black hole named Danielle. Like she cannot be happy. She has identified herself as a fat person, and I'm sure her very difficult seeming mother has a lot to do with it. That woman is not, oof. But like, you're not fat anymore. Get over it. Get over it. I've lost, weight. I'm not living in the past. Like at one point I only breastfed. Am I still there mentally? No, I've moved on, dude. Like move on or don't, but then stop acting like you actually want to be happy. You don't. Danielle doesn't want to be happy. She wants power. Because when she was fat or overlooked or in the shadow of her gorgeous mother, I'm sure she felt invisible and powerless. And now she's going to turn the fucking thumbscrews on anyone she can because it's just this constant revenge. It's this constant revenge cycle. And so we have to be on the lookout for narcissists like this, not people who prey on us with this, like, they're not the grandiose narcissists. I'm so fantastic. I need all this attention. They're the opposite. They're the opposite end of the exact same spectrum. Poor me. Wah, wah, wah. Don't do that. I'm having a bad day. You're in charge of your own emotions. Have a bad day. Leave me out of it. I'm not coming in. What do I need to save you for? That is not something love should ask of you. It isn't. Yes, we need to be there for our partner, but I've used this example before. Cheerleaders don't play. Cheerleaders don't play. We are all on our own football field, okay? We are in our own game against our own demons, our own like No matter how much someone loves us, whether it's our mother, our spouse, our best friend, they are not on the field with us. They are in the cheering section. I have recently been dealing with a friend who is, she's killing herself with alcoholism. She is. And I've kind of avoided talking about this because it's like, I don't want her to see this and be like, is that about me? Yeah, it is about you actually. You know what? We're all at our wits' end with you. And I want to say to you, and when I see you, I'm going to, I will walk beside you on this path of sobriety and health, but I'm not pushing your ass down the path. I'm the cheerleader. I'm not playing. This is your game. I'm not asking you to play my game, right? We cannot ask that of a partner. And if a partner is asking that of you, red flag, red flag. You have got to be cognizant because look, you can only play one game at a time. You can only be on one football field at a time. Are you going to be on yours, chasing your dreams, your destiny, the dreams God put in your heart? Or are you going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to go over to this field. I'm not on this team, but I'm going to play. Who leaves the Super Bowl to go play in a JV game? Nobody. That's not what happens. You can only play one game at a time. You're either playing it for yourself or you're playing it for someone else. And guess what? You don't get to raise the trophy at the end of the day. So stay in the cheering section. But a narcissist is going to tell you otherwise. How dare you leave me? How dare you not come onto my field? How dare you have a field of your own? You have dreams? You have bad days? What? You're a traitor. You don't love me. If you loved me, you would sacrifice everything for me. When we can pull back and be like, is whatever this person requiring of me, is it too much? Is it past my boundaries? We have to ask ourselves that. Now, in the case of Nick and Danielle, one thing I think he could have asked himself, or I guess what should have been the huge red flag was, like I said, when they were in Mexico and he had to go to this contractually obligated mixer with the rest of the cast, and she's like, she didn't tell him don't go, but she just came down on him so hard after the fact. It's like, I wish I wouldn't have even gone. It wouldn't have been worth it to deal with this bullshit sitting in my hotel room right now, right? This like emotional hurricane that's just waiting to swallow me whole. What is someone asking you to give up? What is someone gaslighting you into? This whole show was full of so many gaslighters. It was like blowing my mind. I wanted to take notes like, wow, this is how it's done. Like, this is crazy. Everyone was gaslighting everyone else. Shayne gaslighting Natalie when he's like, oh, is that Shaina? What are you wearing? That's what I hope for. And she's like, what the fuck? And he's like, I have your name doodled on my notebook. Again, like a 10-year-old. Also, prove it. And third, like, that's not okay. And then he gaslit Shaina for being like, you have a girlfriend, I'm walking out. Oh, well, you just weren't like honest with me. You didn't like tell me enough that you liked me. And she kept that narrative going the entire season. I just wasn't transparent enough with him. You should never have to be super transparent with a man. They don't like it. They're hunters. They don't want to be fed. They want to chase. If you have to be like, I like you and I like only you. He doesn't like you. He likes being fed. And that's not a predator. And therefore that's not a man. So, a lot of gaslighting. I feel like we have so much more to talk about, and I'm sure you guys are going to tell me in the comments other stuff that I've missed, and that's okay, because we're going to do more videos on Love is Blind, because holy shit, there's so much to talk about. But yeah, I want to come back with a video on, do appearances matter, the ick, and how to tell if someone isn't attracted to you, and how to change your perception of yourself. Because look at Danielle, like suicidal, homicidal. She has low self-esteem because she still sees herself as the fat chick, and it's ruining all of her relationships. Danielle, you might as well have just stayed fat. I mean, if you're going to still behave in that fat space, in that like fathead mentality where no one likes me and I'm disgusting, okay, well, your wish is my command, says the universe. That's how it works. What you put out, you give back. You fear and you create that. So it's like, why waste all that time at the gym if you're going to have the exact same experience you would have if you were just fat? Eat the pasta. Polish off a whole jar of Nutella. It's what I'm going to do later today. Why not? I want to know your thoughts. Tell me some other topics you might want. What couples are you rooting for? Who are you rooting against? And what do you think the reunion is going to hold? I can't wait. All right, Challigators, I will see you later. And like I said, if you want to help Ukraine, we've got a whole bunch of links down there. Please, please, please share them. You know, even if you only have 100 followers, that's fine. Please share. This is how we get things done. Every step in the right direction is a step in the way. A step away from the wrong direction. I'll see you later, Challigators. À tout à l'heure.